Welcome to SSBay Insider and part 2 of the Fairmont Hotel Bees.
My name is Katerina Rakowski. I'm one of the co-founders of Urban Kitchen SF. We are a 501c3 nonprofit, volunteer run. We've been around for a couple years now, working very closely with QUESA to bring hands-on, single-purpose workshops to the public. We run all sorts of classes, from beekeeping, as you can see from here today, to butchery, to jam making, to pickling, to making mead, composting, all the rest. So if you're interested in getting your hands dirty, chances are we have run a workshop on the topic or plan to in the future, and we do welcome everyone to visit our website at urbankitchensf.org. I would like to introduce Chef JW, who will be providing you with the first in a series of events tonight.
Okay, welcome everyone. It's nice to have you here. If you got 5 people, or if you got a whole backyard full of people just like you. So we're just gonna take it, and this has been draining for 24 hours, so it's definitely firmed up.
This is ricotta cheese from Bellwether Farms.
What we're gonna take some honey. Now Helene was nice enough to bring me this, which we actually harvested 2 days ago. Was it 2 days ago or yesterday? Yesterday, sorry. The week is going by. So I'm just gonna take some honey. Some beautiful honey here. And it'll take quite a bit to get the flavor to get past the cheese. And then what I would do is just break it up and mix it up. And you can add as much as you like, depending how sweet you want it. I don't want it to be too sweet because we want the sweetness of the plums to come through, and then we don't want a dessert here. We want something that goes well with the beer. So, we got these beautiful plums, and I'm just going to show you a little bit, and then I'll walk you through the rest of it. So we're going to take the plums, and the best thing to do, I find, is just to cut the bottom off. These ones are pretty ripe, so they're a little harder to get through, but basically pretty straightforward is what we're going to do here. And we're just going to chop these up, and then put them in a bowl, just like that. So I'm just going to show you a small version, but I already have some already made here for us as well. So I take a little bit of olive oil. I'm just going to toss just a little bit in there. A little bit of cinnamon. And a little bit of salt. And we're just going to just toss them around. And I just lay them on a sheet pan, about 450 degree oven, very fast, until they start to break down. We have some walnut bread here. Some local bread. And then we take it and we slice it. I've done it on a slicer, but you could definitely do it by hand. I would suggest semi-frozen so that it's easier to cut through, so it's straight, so it doesn't get all different on you, but as thick as you'd like. And then what we did is we took some olive oil and some salt, and we just toasted them in the oven until they got nice and crisp. So I'm gonna take a walnut crostini. I'm gonna take a little bit of this guy right here. I just smear it on there, nice and rustic. And then I just take a little bit of the roasted plums, and I put it on there. And I just got a little bit of some fresh pea seedling that we had brought in from one of our farmers, and we're just going to set it on top. So you could definitely do that for an afternoon. Could be a night time, could be a day thing with a nice glass of cold beer, Fairmont beer. You're welcome there, and enjoy that in the backyard.
So I'm Jesse. I'm one of the co-founders of Almanac Beer Company. So I'm just gonna. You guys are familiar with how beer is made? If you can talk a little bit about that. So this is the base style that we used here is a really sort of French Belgian inspired beer. It's a saison, which is French for season. So traditionally, the style is it's a field beer. It's a beer you'd make for the harvest in the summer, and so it's a really clean, refreshing beer. So our version of it, we use a lot of wheat and a lot of barley in it, and then we add the honey as late in the process as possible, since that honey is perfect just the way it is and doesn't need brewers screwing it up. And so we make a real classic beer. We use real traditional hop schedule. So we add the hops, you take the barley and the wheat, we melt all the starches out of there. That's called mashing. Then that goes into a process that's called the boil, where we creatively enough, we boil it for about an hour. And during that time, we add in the hops. And hops provide bitterness and aroma. If you've had like a California style IPA, you're intimately familiar with all the flavors you get from hops. We use just a little bit here to provide just a little sort of background bitterness. We use what are called noble hops that provide a real sort of nice spice character to it. And then we let the yeast have at it. We're using a real great Belgian-style yeast that gives it a real sort of nice earthiness that I really like in there. So it's sort of almost a little red wine, Bordeaux-like sort of earthy character, mineralness to it that we think is great, and that's all created by the yeast. So as brewers, our job is really to let the yeast do its job and we just get out of the way. Honey's a really clean fermenting ingredient, so it ferments out all that sugar, which is why it's so dry, and which is exactly what we're looking for. So you get sort of a nice nose and a little bit of honey aromatic in there, but beyond that, it's just sort of an accent on the beer itself. But we're really proud of this beer. We're happy with it came out. You look like you need a beer, sir.
I do. It's very unique.
Thank you.
And where do you brew from? Where's your brewery?
We're based out of here in San Francisco. Our office is in the Dog Patch.
Oh, nice.
But we actually do our production. We're what's called a gypsy brewery. So we don't own our own facility. We sublet a brewery as sort of a shared space. We use a space down in San Jose for production. There's some 25 barrel batches. A barrel is, of course, a made-up standard measurement that only brewers use. So a barrel is 31 and a half gallons. So if you think of like standard large keg, that's a half barrel keg. That's 15.5. So we're yielding about 30 of those in each of our batches. So we use 180 pounds of honey to do that. So the honey comes to us in giant 5-gallon buckets that weigh about 60 pounds each. So it's a fair bit of honey that we're putting in there. Now the honey does change from season to season, but we're fine with that because that's exactly what we're looking for, that uniqueness and that sense of place that you can really only get here. So our brewery really specializes in collaborating with local farms for each seasonal release. And so for us to do, we're really always looking for ways to infuse a sense of terroir, which is a French winemaking term, meaning the dirt actually out of the ground. And so by creating that, we're like, you can't get much more local than honey, from the rooftop, and then you're just out on the next floor down, having beer made with that ingredient.
So I can drink this here at the hotel, and where else can I find
That's it.
it?
We make it exclusively for these
So
guys.
I've got to become a regular.
Yeah, that's the idea.
Okay, stay tuned for part 3 of the Fairmont Hotel Bees.
You'd wear double socks and put the socks up over your pant legs. Then you're pretty good. Single socks, they can actually sting through.
Alright.
How we going?
And we're off to meet the Queen.